Friday, November 18th, 2022, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So there's an old saying that those who hold the gold make the rules. And I don't think that has changed and won't change for a long time. So that's why we're going to look at how gold is continuing to flow from west to east and how there's a big power shift coming from west to east. And it's been basically planned, I would say. And I'm going to prove that to you today by referencing a speech to the Stanford Business School 12 years ago from the former World Bank president, James Wolfenson. We're going to look at that today. Before I start, some of you have asked, can you please show Billy to us, because he's always there lying down or asleep. So I've got him here with me today, so you can see him. He's had his haircut yesterday. So there you go. There's Billy. He's got a new bow that the groomer gave him. So he smells nice. So a little bit on Billy's background. Well, he was born in July 2008, and we bought him from the breeder a couple of months later, just when the world banking system was unraveling and Lehman was collapsing. So we always joked in the house here that Billy was the credit crunch puppy. He's also known as the silver bug. Billy likes silver, as you can see. Unfortunately, in the last year, he's gone blind, which is, it's just a little more difficult for him to do things, but he's doing well apart from that. So I'm going to put him back on the sofa now, and then we're going to look at the the shift of power from west to east. So yesterday I saw this tweet from at Gold Telegraph _ I recommend you follow at Gold Telegraph if you're on Twitter. And it says, Swiss gold exports to China and Turkey stay strong. Switzerland in October exported 43.7 tons of gold, worth around $2.4 billion to mainland China. Gold continues to move from west to east, and we spoke about gold as well in the third quarter. I think the World Gold Council estimated that 399 tons of gold were bought mainly by non-Western central banks, even though they didn't want to give the provenance of about a few hundred tons of that gold. They didn't say where it was coming from. Maybe it was Saudi Arabia, who knows, buying gold. So this morning when I woke up, I got sent an article by my brother-in-law, actually, in Switzerland, and because he knows that I've been following gold for many years, and he sent me this article from Asia Times, asiatimes.com. The financial reset is near. The world is drowning in a sea of debt. And it's from November 14th. And it talks about a lot of the things that we've been covering here and I've been telling you about for the last almost 7 years now. They even mentioned John Exter in this article from Asia Times. Asia Times is based out of Hong Kong. They start the article by saying, we are in a world of irredeemable paper money, a state of affairs unprecedented in history. John Exter, that's what he said. I owe you nothings. And I've talked about that paper he wrote or that presentation he gave back in 1972, John Exter. So I'm not going to go through this whole article, but suffice it to say, Asia Times realizes how important gold is and how it's going to be what's going to save the system. And that's why people in Asia are buying gold. This is what the last paragraph says. I'm going to put a link to this article in the description if you want to read the whole thing. It says, if the world loses faith in the dollar, a financial reset becomes inevitable. And it's got nothing to do with Klaus Schwab's Great Reset. We've been talking about a financial reset for many years. And I still believe that when the Dow to gold ratio is at 1, or maybe the Fed's balance sheet is more than 100% backed by gold, its liabilities, then things will have been reset. And I think Pierre Lassonde, he was in Zurich. I didn't have time to listen to him, but he mentions this all the time. He expects a 1-to-1. It says the world would lose its financial anchor. The dollar is not a very good anchor, though, I would say. This explains why central bankers around the world are stocking up on gold. Unlike paper money, bonds or stocks, gold has no counterparty risk. Yes, FTX clients, investors. In the words of legendary banker JP Morgan, gold is money and everything else is credit. So this is the first article in a two-part series. And the two-part series is also something we've been covering here for many years. The shift away from the petrodollar. I started covering it in 2016. I said it wasn't going to be overnight. There are many people out there who said, oh, what are you talking about? The dollar is still around. No, but it's shifting. And I think we are almost at a tipping point now. It's not going to be too long before the BRICS nations and other nations like Saudi Arabia, Iran, and many others join together and create their own system, a more balanced system, a system really based on gold. And this is what the second article talks about, till death do us part, talking about the huge amount of debt we have in the system worldwide, over 300 trillion. Says the BRICS and other economies are exploring ways to bypass the dollar system. It talks about gold as well. And it talks about the recent comment from the Dutch central banker who said that the West is going to have to revalue their gold if they want to have some kind of participation in this new world. Gold is not an investment that produces a yield, but rather an insurance policy against depreciating or collapsing currencies. Gold buyers feel the current financial system will freeze up and that a monetary reset will follow. They expect gold to replace the dollar as the benchmark for this reset. While the dollar, paper dollar, being the major reserve asset, is an anomaly historically, gold has always been the premier reserve asset. And we're just going to go back to how it used to be. In much of the world, gold has historically been regarded as a store of value in times of crisis. It has always retained this status in Asia and among bankers. When a borrower offers to provide a bank with a kilogram of gold or a kilo of silver as collateral for a loan, the banker will take the gold. What do I think about the comment about silver? Well, I think if you also just had a kilo of silver and you asked for a loan, that banker would take the silver. And again, this is why I think it's very important to have just a little bit, if you can, of gold and silver. I've been stacking, and many of you, of course, always ask me who are new to this, where can I buy gold? Well, I have 3 affiliates, 2 in the US. One of them is ITM Trading. You can contact ITM Trading and Lynette Zhang's team, and they'll give you a refresher. Not a refresher, but they'll talk to you about what gold can do for you. And you can set up an appointment with them free of charge. And you've also got Andy Scheckman of Miles Franklin. He's one of the few registered dealers for the US Mint, Miles Franklin. The details are below in the description of the video. And these are my North American affiliates here in the UK. you can contact Gold Investments, and my promo code there is Moneco64. They've been in business for over 40 years. Their father, Mike Temple, I started dealing with him. Now the sons, Oliver and Simon, are running it. And of course, as I've said many times before, if you get a better deal from another reputable dealer, go ahead. Don't just use my affiliates because they're my affiliates. Do your homework. So now I wanted to shift over, and no pun intended, actually, but I've spoken about this speech by James Wolfenson to the Stanford Graduate School of Business, and this is from 12 years ago. James Wolfenson, in the meantime, has passed on, just to let you know. He's a former World Bank president, and the title of the speech is Big Shift Coming. As I said, you can listen to the whole speech. It's about 51 minutes. So before I give you a summary of what James Wolfenson said, just a little bit of background. He was born in Australia. His father worked for the Rothschilds back in the 20s or 30s, and he went into banking as well. He worked in the City of London. He worked for Bankers Trust, and so he was very well connected. He created his own private bank boutique, I think. And what he was telling people, these students at Stanford, was that most of the world population was in Asia and not in Europe, and that there needed to be a shift of wealth and assets and income and power to the East in order to keep the world stable. So basically he was saying that there needed to be kind of a socialist redistribution of wealth from one region to another. And I think a lot of what's going on today with this climate change agenda is just an excuse to create this shift. I think what happened 2.5 years ago with that beer disease is also to do with that. And you've seen now at COP27, they're talking about reparations for the rest of the world for all the pollution that the West has created over the last 150 years or 200 years or so. And I think gold is a big part of this, because how do you shift power, real financial power, from West to East? Well, you tell the majority of the public in the West that gold is a barbarous relic, that it's useless, and you keep selling it. You suppress the price and you allow the Asians, the Chinese, and everyone else to buy it for nothing, and then you revalue the system. And you shift power to the from West to East. And I think you might think this is conspiratorial or conspiracy theory, but Mr. Wolfenson, who was highly connected to central bankers and president of the World Bank, was warning us back in 2010. People like the FT were trying to keep us in the West from protecting ourselves as well. I've spoken about this many times, right? The editorial in the FT from 2004 that I had to cut out and laminate because I thought I was kind of surprised about this, but I'm not, of course, because this is all part of the program. And you look at people like Jim Rogers. Jim Rogers, he was very well connected, probably still is, worked for George Soros. He's known about this shift for over a decade. He even moved to that part of the world, and he even made sure his daughters learned the language of the Chinese, be it Mandarin or Cantonese, I don't know which one, because he knows the power is shifting. And am I saying we have to learn Chinese? No. What I'm trying to say is that something big is coming, and if you want to protect yourself a little bit financially, I think gold and silver will go a long way. So enough of that. Let's look at where the markets are this morning. So it's 8:23 a.m. London time. We've got spot gold at 1762.50 is up about $2. High's been 67, lows 59. So pretty narrow range overnight. Silver's up 14 cents at 21.10. High's been 21.27. Low has been 20.93. So we saw a bit of a correction in silver yesterday. I don't think it's anything to worry about. Markets don't go up in a straight line. And in a way, it's healthy sometimes to see a bit of a correction. We've got the Dow futures down about 0.25%, down 100 points. NASDAQ 100 futures down 0.25 as well, and so is the S&P. To the currencies, sterling, as I said yesterday, I expected it to correct. After the budget statement, it did. It fell over about 1%. It rebounded, and right now we're at 118.88. It's up 0.25. The euro is down about 0.25 as well, or 0.2 at 103.45. The dollar is unchanged versus the yen, right around 140. Dollar is up slightly versus the Swiss franc, 95.28. And the dollar is down slightly versus the yuan at 7.13. And I think some Fed officials made some hawkish comments. I think the guy from St. Louis, he's a bit of a joke, actually. Bullard, he said rates could go to 7%. I'm not too sure about that. A few years ago, before 2020, he used to be an uber dove. What I think about Bullard is that he's like a central banking troll, trying to like control markets, but he does a very bad job of that. Anyway, the dollar is unchanged basically versus the ruble, trading around 60, spot 50. Not much going on there. Aussie dollar is up 0.1%, 66.94. Dollar's unchanged versus the loonie, and the Kiwi dollar is up 0.5%, actually 61.57. WTI crude is up 0.5%, 81.90. Brent is up 1/3 at 89.52. High grade copper is unchanged, 369. US nat gas is down 2.5% at 6.46. Let's quickly look at the Dutch nat gas futures. That's up 1.3% at around 114. We'll finish off with the bond market. UK gilt yields are rising a little bit. They rose yesterday as well. During the budget, the 10-year is up 5 basis points at 3.26. The 30-year is up 6 at 3.41. U.S. Treasuries, the 10-year yield, that went up yesterday as well, a little bit. That's probably why there's a little bit of pressure on the gold and silver prices. It's at 3.78, up 1 basis point. The 2-year is up 2 basis points, almost at 4.5%. So there you go. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. Please share it far and wide. Think about subscribing to my channel if you haven't yet. And with that, I wish you all a great weekend. Take care. Bye.